Dar MMA back with another video. Really happy. We hit 40 subscribers. I was really proud of my last thumbnail. Hey Anderson, we're good. Hamzat's here. But Hamza actually is really good. But today I'm going to be going over if the champion at every UFC weight class didn't exist, who would be the champion. And for heavyweight, since it's like super obvious, obviously Aspinall, I consider Aspinall a champion too. I did someone other than Jones Aspinall. Just a disclaimer. I don't want anyone to be hating that I didn't pick Aspinall. Flyweight division, Brandon Moreno. I know he lost to Royval recently, but look, I think that kind of came because I think momentum is big with UFC fighters, and I do think he's much better than Royval. We saw him beat Royval during his title reign. I think he's much better. I just think his momentum, because he took the his second or third loss to Pantoja, and he lost the belt, I think that kind of hurt his confidence. And then, but like with a win over Albazi, if Moreno and Royval fought tomorrow, I'd pick Brandon Moreno, honestly. I think he's going to beat Urseg, and then, I don't know, they might give him a title shot off of that. I'm not sure. Urseg's ranked pretty low, but we'll see. I kind of hope Urseg wins, but I do think Moreno's going to win. You saw in my UFC fighters who need comebacks delusional video, I want Urseg to have a comeback, but we'll see. Moving on to Bantamweight, I don't think this is a super hot take. I have Umar. Look, I just think obviously O'Malley's a great striker. I think Umar is a really good striker too, and I think the equalizer there is Umar's wrestling. Umar's wrestling is world class. I understand he couldn't take down Merab with too much ease, but Merab is the way this guy weaponizes his cardio is so crazy. Gassing out a Dagestani like Umar, who we've never seen him in a 5-rounder, but Merab's pace and pressure and ability to just go at 120% for all 5 rounds is crazy. I don't see anyone in the division being able to beat Umar unless it's like a fluke knockout besides Merab. So I would say if Merab didn't vacated the belt, let's say, not if he didn't exist. If Merab vacated the belt, they'd probably match up Umar and O'Malley for the title, and I think Umar would win that fight. I just think the grappling would be too much for O'Malley. We saw he did struggle with Merab. I understand he had a hip injury, and I do think O'Malley and Umar are the two guys who could beat Merab at 135, but I just think Umar's grappling and I think Umar has superior wrestling than Merab, but I think his cardio is not as good, and that's why Merab was able to kind of dominate the later rounds and take Umar down, stuff his takedown. That one clip where Umar's trying to drag Merab down, he just has his hands out, is like I've never seen. That was just absurd. Moving on, if Ilia Topturo vacated the belt like he is, I think Volk's going to be champion. Obviously, we have the undisputed title fight between Volk and Diego Lopez. I just think Volk's going to piece him up. I think Volk's chin will be refreshed. He took a year and a half off. I think he'll be back to how he used to be chin-wise. I know Diego Lopez has power, but I just think Diego Lopez is too hittable. He's very hittable, and he kind of bum rushes and he gasses out. 5 rounds, I just think Volk will impose his will and win a decision or a late TKO. It's my prediction. So I think when Topuria vacates the belt, I do think Volk will regain the belt, which will be really wholesome and honestly really good for Volk's legacy, beating an up-and-comer like Diego Lopez. I hope Volk retires with his only featherweight loss being to Ilia Topuria, because I do regard Volk as featherweight GOAT right now, and I would not want to change that. Don't want Jose Aldo to be GOAT. I'm a Jose Aldo hater. I'm sorry. Moving on to lightweight. This one might get a little controversial. I got Charles Oliveira. Look, let's say Topuria. I think if Makhachev vacated the belt right now, he's retiring. I think they would match Charles up with Sarukian in a 5-rounder. I think that's the most logical thing. Or Charles versus Topuria. I think if it was Charles Sarukian, I think Charles would beat him in a 5-rounder, honestly. I think Sarukian's hype has kind of been inflated. I do think he would do better do well against Islam, but I think the Charles fight, people forget how close that fight was. I think Sarukian's hype has been a little bit inflated, and I do think in a 5-round fight, 5-round rematch, I think Charles gets it done by either decision or submission. We saw Charles's improved wrestling in the Michael Chandler fight. He looked really good against Chandler, went all 5 rounds, showed that his chin has recovered, his defense has gotten much better. And honestly, I think Charles has a good chance of beating Topuria. Charles's jiu-jitsu would kind of make it so Topuria doesn't want to wrestle. Charles is much bigger than Topuria. I think Charles could honestly land a nice head kick on Topuria. We saw him get Beneil Dariush with that head kick. I think Charles has the best chance. I would pick him if Makhachev retired, because I just think against Topuria, there's always the threat of the head kick. There's always Charles is a good boxer. His defense is much improved. Yes, Topuria could knock him out, but remember, Topuria is coming up a weight class. He's going to be less powerful compared to Gaethje, Poirier, or like similar to those guys, the guys that Charles has faced. And I just think against Sarukian, that's like his other main challenge. I think Charles beats him in 5-rounder, which I don't think is a super hot take, but I think the Topuria take is. Moving on to welterweight, I got Shavkat. I just think besides Bilal Muhammad, there's no one at welterweight that I see beating Shavkat. Usman in his prime probably would. He's too old now. Joaquin Buckley, no. Ian Gary, Shavkat just beat. Close fight, I understand, but I just don't see Ian Gary being able to beat him. Who else? JDM. I think JDM. Shavkat's big, and I just think JDM is too one-dimensional. He got taken down by like some unranked guys. Gilbert Burns was giving him a tough fight. It was 1-1. I don't know. I just see Shavkat beating everyone at welterweight besides Bilal, and I do think he could beat Bilal. I think he'll like fluke a win somehow, just because he always flukes those wins randomly. Like the Jeff Neal fight, he was getting pieced up and then just submits him freaking Genghis Khan style. But the standing rear naked choke. But yeah, I would go with Shavkat. And then, okay, I'm going to go through the non-controversial ones pretty quickly. Khamzat Chimaev at middleweight. I mean, you can't really, if let's say Dricus retired, they'd probably make the fight between Khamzat and Imavov. And I think I think Imavov is Khamzat's toughest fight in the division, but I just think he would get it done. I think Khamzat has the power, the wrestling. He's just super well-rounded. If Imavov could take it late and make it challenging for Khamzat if Khamzat wastes his energy in the first round, but I just don't see that happening. I think Khamzat would be able to get it done, and I think he would finish him. We got to remember Sean Strickland finished Nasruddin Imavov. The hype, he has a little too much hype just because he beat a washed Izzy, you know. But moving on to light heavyweight, Alex Pereira, yeah, not very controversial. I think besides Ankalaev, there's no one who can beat Alex Pereira at light heavyweight right now. Like Carlos Ulberg, no. He's already beat most of the top 5. He's beat Jamal Hill, Yuri, Khalil. Like, who else is there besides Magomed Ankalaev who would beat Pereira? That's pretty uncontroversial. Moving on to heavyweight. Okay, this is besides Jones and Aspinall because they're both like basically the undisputed champ. Well, kind of. So I picked Jailton Almeida. I just think they would make the fight between Almeida and Gon, give Gon his 48th consecutive title shot. And I think Almeida would be able to get it done just because his offensive wrestling. I know we don't like his fight style, even though he's like, I enjoy greatness. Like seeing him ragdoll Curtis Blades and then get knocked out, that was pretty entertaining to me. But I enjoy, like, he has an interesting fight style. Some say it's boring. Derek Lewis' fight was atrocious. I won't say that. But if like he could defend the belt 10 times, like I would think that's pretty cool. Like no matter his fight style, you know, Khabib was pretty boring, but I appreciate greatness, you know. But I think this would be a really tough fight for Cyril Gane just because Cyril Gane has horrible defensive wrestling, and I think Almeida would be able to get it done. I don't think Cyril Gane's very powerful. Like Blades has power. Blades could knock him out. Pavlovich could probably knock him out unless he fights like how he did against Rosenstrike. Like, bro, how do you not finish Rosenstrike when you're Sergey Pavlovich? But yeah, I think Almeida would get it done. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.